woman praise. I'm grateful for the loving that you gave. It's so amazing. No matter who we are, we know you'll never change. I'm in awe of how you keep doing something amazing. He's always away, doing something amazing. Because of his grace, doing something amazing. Oh, amazing. Let me tell you all the ways I'm covered. I got strength to run my race as he ushers friends and family, I say, in his shelter. No matter where I turn, there's blessings in my face. I'm in awe of how you keep doing something amazing. He's always away, doing something amazing. Because of his grace, doing something amazing. Oh, amazing. He's always doing amazing, something amazing. Grace, unending love, never failing peace, overflowing hope to keep flowing. That's unending love, never failing peace, overflowing hope to keep going. If you've seen it done, changing the impossible to the greatest story told. All I am is nothing short of a miracle. I'm in awe, you're so amazing. Doing something amazing. He's always away, doing something amazing. Because of his grace, doing something amazing. Oh, amazing, amazing, doing something amazing. He's always away, doing something amazing. Because of his grace, doing something amazing. Unending love, never failing, overflowing, amazing. Keep going, grace. Unending love, never failing peace, overflowing hope to keep going, grace. That's unending love, never failing peace, overflowing hope to keep going. Making sure I'm on live. What's up, YouTube? All right. So, welcome everybody to week 5, module 5. We only have one more week left and we will be done with our course for today, or for this, I don't know, lesson or whatever, this semester on Hillman Talk. So hopefully you all have enjoyed and gotten something from the information every week. But I am excited about today's topic because we are talking about body image, burnout, and self-compassion with ADHD, which I feel like is extremely important because we don't really think about ADHD as something that can affect us in these areas as far as our body image is concerned, getting burnt out, all of that. And we we all can use a little bit more self-compassion. So I'm excited about this topic. So if you have your workbooks, you don't really be working out of them today, but there are exercises that you can work through based on this topic that we are going to go over today. All right, so we've talked about food, we talked about focus, we talked about meal planning and building structure around those things. But this week is more about how you see yourselves or how we see ourselves, how to treat ourselves, how we should be more compassionate and treating ourselves well, and how burnout can show up in our bodies, right? It's really important to recognize how burnout shows up. A lot of us are not honoring our bodies and moving past burnout and forcing ourselves to do the things. So, especially with ADHD, it's really easy to just get into I need to get this done mode, or you shift into the complete opposite direction and just kind of have analysis paralysis and get nothing done. Either way is not good with ADHD, so we're gonna kind of learn how to recognize burnout and kind of how to deal with that, right? So we're not trying to fix any problems. We're not about fixing anything. Just honoring your body and what you've been carrying and offering yourself like just care and softness in return. All right. So, let's talk about perfectionism and the inner circle. I wanted to read this definition first, because I don't think we realize like the mental toll that ADHD can take on us. Hey Patricia, hey Raven, welcome to the live. Welcome. Um, so I looked up ADHD and how it mentally impacts you. And what Google came up with, I thought was a really good definition. It basically said that ADHD significantly can impact emotional regulation, making it difficult to control your impulses and manage your emotional responses, which can lead to emotional reactivity, mood swings, difficulties with expression. Um, Individuals with ADHD may also experience rejection sensitivity and struggle to let go of stressful events. So I know there's a few of those in there I know that I have dealt with. And Before I got my diagnosis, I was diagnosed with like depression and anxiety. And some of those were how that was showing up in my life. And now a lot of things are just making more sense with my ADHD diagnosis. So, some other things that you might deal with would be like difficulty controlling your impulses, heightened emotional reactivity, your mood swings. You have a low frustration tolerance. So, things that challenge your executive function and impulsivity lead to a very low tolerance for frustration, making it difficult for you to cope with your setbacks. Rejection sensitivity means that you have heightened sensitivity to criticism. So a lot of us with ADHD, we do not tolerate criticism well. Thank you, Luxury Vacation. I appreciate. Thanks for coming to the live. Um, which can lead to feelings of being inadequate or self doubt. Emotional expression, you might see that through emotional outbursts, difficulty letting go, increased risk of increased anxiety and depression risk. So that is a comorbid condition that you will see diagnosed either in place of ADHD, because ADHD is not the number one diagnosis that most therapists or clinicians go to. They usually want to give depression or anxiety first, but you might actually be dealing with both or all. So, all right. So, something else just to kind of tie all that together is that you might be dealing with like a perfectionist or like um perfectionism complex. So everything has to be right. So many of us might live with an inner voice that says, "Ugh, I'm behind in everything. Like I just am not doing anything right, or I should have done more in whatever situation. My body doesn't look like it used to. What's wrong? Like, why can't I get my body to go back to what it used to look like in my 20s? Or everyone else is keeping up, or everybody else is doing all the things. What's wrong with me? So you may think that, like, okay, yeah, a lot of other people deal with, you know, those thoughts as well, but it can be amplified if you have ADHD. So especially when we have a habit of like using other coping tactics, so social media might be a coping tactic that you use, and by using TikTok or YouTube or Facebook or whatever it is that you scroll through all day, you might start to really get into the mindset of everybody else is doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm just stuck here. I'm sitting on the couch and I can't get anything done. So it's just a cycle of like negative self talk, right? And it doesn't just affect your focus, ADHD also can affect your self esteem in that way. So when you grow up with a brain that functions differently, um, a lot of people, especially in our community, you get labels that are not addressing what the mental health uh, concern or issue might be. So you might hear yourself being called lazy by people in your life, messy, inconsistent, doing too much, over the top. Um, and over time, that can turn into perfectionism and shame in your mind. You also might be called emotional or too emotional. Um, so, especially as a Black woman from our own community, these pressures intensify, right? So, you're expected to be strong, you're expected to get it done, be resilient, do all the things, and also be pretty, be pleasing to look at while you do all the things. So, to be honest with yourself, it's important to recognize that you aren't behind, you're burnt out. So when you find that you are in like paralysis mode, or you are stuck, or you can't find the motivation to do the next thing, and that is like a cycle, it's something that you cannot get out of, then you might be dealing with burnout. And you don't have to punish yourself for that. You need to learn how to give yourself some compassion so you can come out of that. All right. So getting into like the cycle of burnout. Um, for burnout is with ADHD, it's not just simply exhaustion, right? It's a whole body shutdown. So you might recognize this cycle. So you might first be in what's called over functioning. So you are doing the most, masking your symptoms, saying yes to everything, trying to be everything, do everything, and be everywhere for everybody, right? So overextending yourself or over functioning. Then you might find yourself in crisis mode, right? So you're forgetting things, or you might be dropping the ball on important projects, homework, or things that you're doing at work, stuff with the kids, just dropping the ball in certain areas and just emotionally kind of shutting down or crashing. Shutdown might look like retreating or isolating yourself, or going on binges with eating, avoiding your own self care. So, not brushing your teeth every day, or not showering like you should, not because you are a dirty person. That might not even be your character, but you are in shutdown mode because you have overextended yourself. You have gone into crisis mode where everything is just frantic, nothing is in order, and now you just shut down. And then you go into the guilt cycle, which you start beating yourself up for being in shutdown mode. You are um, telling yourself you need to do better next time. Like, there's no reason why you should be not doing X, Y, and Z. Like, why can't you do this better? So that is the cycle, and you might find yourself in a loop of this. Um, over and over again. So overfunctioning, crisis, shutdown, guilt, and then starting again, overfunctioning, crisis, shutdown, guilt. So you have to understand that your brain and your body are not the problem. Burnout is the message that you're not addressing. ADHD brains work harder to keep up in general. Like we constantly have to do the extra thing to keep up with everybody else while masking the fact that we have to do the extra thing. And then we are tend to be people pleasers. So add people pleasing to that, and then add cultural stresses to that. So any kind of racial stress or microaggressions, things like that, body image, pressure, over functioning. It's just the perfect storm for burnout, right? And then tie in body image or your just how you see yourself as a Black woman in today's society, right? So you have this perfectionist complex, right? Everything has to be a certain way. You can't get it to be the way that you like all the time because you're dealing with burnout. And then on top of that, your body might not be where you want it to be because you might be dealing with eating habits that are not where you want them to be. You might be dealing with um, just not being able to get the motivation to exercise. Like it could be a number of things that you are dealing with. So a lot of us are stuck with in between the beauty standards that never included us at all, or cultural beauty standards that apply in our own communities that we might not be living up to. And then wellness spaces that expect us to kind of shrink ourselves. So, for example, um, gyms, going to gyms, Pilates class, yogas, things like that, that are some of those are considered to be white spaces. So you are feeling like you have to shrink yourself, um, not be seen, that kind of thing. So if you feel pressure from all those areas, the area from our communities that you have to be thick but snatched, or bounce back after pregnancy, or to eat clean because that's all you see on your timeline when you are scrolling. Um, don't be picky about foods, or don't be fat phobic, but also you can't be looking too skinny. It's just like all these different messages that we get on a day to day. And to be honest, food has also been one of the only self places for most of us to kind of lean into. So we use food to cope with this overwhelm of information, right? All right, so just understand that it's okay that your body doesn't look like your body did in your 20s, right? You don't have to match that body. That body is gone. Especially if you're a mom, if you have multiple kids, if you're in your 40s or late 30s, like it's okay to let go of that 110-pound version of yourself. Your energy is different now, your life is different now, your hormones are different now. So just giving yourself some grace in that area is important. Don't look at yourself as like a project that has to be fixed. It is like your body is your lifelong partner. So learning to grow with yourself in different stages and supporting yourself and just being healthy, focus on health versus like how you look according to whatever standards or perfect body image that you have in your mind is really important. So learning how to support yourself and not punish yourself is super important. All right, so talking a little bit more about self-compassion and just wellness in general. Um, so you probably tried like having willpower and tried restricting yourself in certain areas with certain foods, or having the willpower to get up and do the workouts every, 3 times a week or 4 days out the week or whatever. And that is not necessarily, you're not always going to have willpower, right? And restricting yourself always backfires. So, what do you do instead, right? What if you try being kind to yourself, compassionate to yourself? So self compassion is not letting yourself off the hook necessarily, but it's saying, all right, so I'm starting this new journey. This journey is going to be hard, but I'm going to do the best that I can. So you can plan, you can do things like learning how to plan meals, like we talked about, like meal planning for the ADHD mind. You can learn how to um, not, you don't have to be the person that goes to the gym 4 days out of the week and lift weights and do an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours of cardio. And that's not realistic for you. That's not something that you can maintain or keep up, right? So being compassionate would be also being realistic with yourself. What does your schedule look like? Is it realistic for you to go from not working out every day or at any days to trying to force yourself to work out 4 days out the week? That's probably not realistic and it's not compassionate. So instead, starting small. So small goals, smart goals. What's one thing that you can do to get you towards where you're trying to be, right? All right, so compassion is also allowing your body to rest when you are tired. It is not beating yourself up because you're tired, right? It's feeding yourself when you don't feel like it's feeding yourself, but also feeding yourself healthy, nutritious, well balanced foods, right? But also allowing yourself grace if you have a snack. Okay. So, yeah, I think I'm frozen on YouTube. That's just great. Oh no, I'm not. All right. So, or maybe I am. I don't know. All right. So, just being more compassionate, speaking to yourself in the way that you would speak to other people, or your best friend, or even a stranger, or how would you speak to your younger self? What are some things that you would say to her that are more compassionate than how you might be speaking to yourself now? So think of a time where you have had a hard situation, or you've been hard on yourself, or hard on your body, or hard on your eating habits. What would it have looked like if you responded to yourself in a more compassionate way? That's one of the prompts I believe in the workbook. So that's something you can kind of think through if you have the workbook. All right. So speaking of the workbook also has what's called a body kindness letter. So you can write yourself a letter from a place of softness, a place of kindness, a place of compassion. And then there's also a burnout radar. So you learn to identify your burnout cues before you get into that cycle that we talked about earlier. So some reflection prompts would be, what is one belief about your body or productivity that you can read or that you are ready to release? So what is one belief about your body or productivity that you are ready to release? So what is something that you consistently tell yourself that's negative or not coming from a place of compassion that you are ready to just release and just stop doing or letting go or figuring out a way to replace that with compassion? What can kindness to yourself look like in the upcoming week? How can you be more kind? How can you be more soft? How can you honor your body? How can you honor your body's boundaries? How can you honor yourself by, is it resting? Is it eating or adding more healthy foods to your diet? So we talked about not necessarily taking unhealthy foods away, but adding healthy foods to your body, to your plates or to your meals every day is giving your body what it needs, right? Being compassionate to yourself. And then how would it feel if you allow yourself to be enough just as you are? So accepting who you are in this moment now. It's okay. You may have a goal of losing weight. You may have a goal of eating better. You may have a goal of finishing school. You may have lots of different goals, but um how can you be more compassionate by accepting yourself where you are right now? All right. So that's it for this week. Um with self-compassion and just um, learning how to be more compassionate. Just learn to recognize when you are in the burnout cycle. So if you find that you are over functioning, overextending yourself, doing everything for everybody else and not focusing on you, taking time to learn how to set boundaries is really important. So what boundaries can you set to prevent you from getting into that over functioning zone, right? Because that's the first stage of the cycle. So you want to stop that before it starts. So what boundaries can you set? Can you, if somebody asks you, can you do something, like, can you be okay with saying no, right? This, like, maybe allowing yourself to do, you know, so much on the weekend. If somebody asks you for plans, and this comes with planning too, and if you have ADHD, we are poor planners. We don't really write things down or put things on a calendar and things like that, and then you end up doing too much for everybody. So just learning how to plan, learning how to set boundaries can kind of help to stop you from getting into that over functioning zone. If you find yourself in crisis, so you are forgetting things, dropping the ball on things, emotionally just breaking down, having emotional breakdowns, things like that, it's time to step back and it's time to figure out, am I doing too much? And if I am, like, what can I let go right now? Right? What can you let go? What can you take off your plate so that you don't go into this cycle of over functioning? Right? Then, if you find yourself in shutdown, you're retreating, you're isolating, you're eating erratically, or you are restricting. You might be restricting. You might be avoiding your own self care. That's the time where you need to kind of check in with yourself again. What is the reason why I'm in this space? Why am I retreating? Am I doing too much for everybody else? Do I have too much going on? What has triggered my emotional state? Right? Blair Smith said, "Why just black, mama?" What do you mean? Why just black? Like, black? This is just a space for ADHD, black women with ADHD. Yeah, this is just a space for black women with ADHD. That's all. Um, and then guilt and beating yourself up. So this is where learning compassion comes in. Learning how to be more compassionate um, with yourself. So replacing those negative, that negative self-talk, replacing those words with things or words of compassion. If you wouldn't speak to your sister or your cousin or your best friend or anyone else that way, then why are you speaking to yourself in a negative way? All right. Thank you. I appreciate that, Blursman. All right, y'all. So that's it for this week's module. We only got one more left, and then we will be done with ADHD nutrition and wellness for African American women. I hope that you all are enjoying this course. If you are in my course on Him and Talk, make sure that you just work through the workbook, do the assignment for this week. I think it's a good way to learn to identify when you're overextending yourself, learn how to identify your triggers, right? All right, y'all. So, in closing, just know you are not meant to carry weight alone. Learn to ask for help. That's okay. Um, and then learn to just set boundaries, right? This week, your invitation is to just take time and pause and give yourself some grace, not because you've done enough, but because you are enough. You do not have to earn rest. That is like a God-given right. It's okay to rest. You're not lazy, you're not broken if you need to rest. You don't have to fix your body. Your body is fine the way that it is. It's okay to set goals to get to another weight, another size, build more muscle, whatever your goal is, that is fine. But accept yourself where you are right now. All right. You don't have to do it all to be loved or worthy. You are already enough. With your ADHD and all, you are enough. Soft belly, stretch marks, and all, you are enough. Loud mind, loud mouth, whatever, you are enough. And that is it. So I may do office hours tomorrow. It depends on if anyone needs any help with the workbook or wants to talk anything through. If that's the case, you have my email. If you are in my course, you can email me or you can message me on the message board on the Human Talk website. And just know that you are doing the work just by showing up on these lives and just being here. And I appreciate it. And I'm proud of y'all. So that's all for this week, everybody. Deuces. All right. See y'all later, YouTube.